I can assure you that in this investigation, and in all cases, we will examine the facts and the law. If we find evidence of a potential federal criminal civil rights crime, we will take appropriate action. And at every step, the facts and the law will guide us forward.
Now, that was Attorney General Eric Holder promising to take action if his department finds that George Zimmerman broke any federal laws when he shot Trayvon Martin. And now, as we continue to vet the president and his top advisors, it's important to note that not once in that press conference was a mention made about the bounty that the new Black Panther Party has put out on Zimmerman's head. Now, look at this poster that is being distributed. That's George Zimmerman wanted dead or alive. And if that's not enough evidence, well, there's countless statements made by the Black Panthers inciting a race war, and we have played them on the show now for a number of weeks. So why is Eric Holder not investigating the new Black Panther Party? Well, that's not really a surprise, considering he refused to investigate charges of voter intimidation against the group back in 2008. Here with reaction and much more, Fox News contributor and the author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, Culture of Corruption, Michelle Malkin, is back. Michelle, thanks for being on the program. Look, I would say in any case, but do you think that this statement in particular was made out of political pressure? And why do you think he would ignore a bounty being put out, wanted dead or alive, in this case, considering, you know, the volatility now, the situation down in Sanford, Florida?
I think you have to look at Eric Holder's record and his history and his legacy as a government official at the Department of Justice under the Clinton administration, and now after 4 years in the Obama administration, has been one of turning the Department of Justice into the Department of Social Justice. Justice is supposed to be blind, but he looks at it with one left eye open. And I think the assurances that he gives America aren't worth very much to people who have seen him pervert the rule of law time and again by putting politics and ideology above the facts and the law that he says he supports. You
know, and one of the things we're doing is we're going step by step, appointment by appointment, in terms of who the president has put in these high positions of power. The Attorney General is a powerful position. Now, let's listen to the Attorney General talking about the issue of race and saying that basically in many ways we're a nation of cowards, if you remember this remark.
Though this nation has proudly thought of itself as a ethnic melting pot, in things racial, we have always been, and we, I believe, continue to be, in too many ways, essentially a nation of cowards.
What are we to glean from that when the Attorney General expresses that view with all the power that comes with that position that he has?
Well, I think we're dealing with somebody who has always been nakedly a radical leftist in his ideology and his application of the law selectively. If you take a look at the states that he has demonized, states that have tried to enact voter ID laws to ensure election integrity, he's gone after state officials across this country who believe that we need to have greater immigration enforcement. And he has demonized the large majority of Americans who believe that we shouldn't see the law through the prism of racial identity. This is somebody who used the phrase "my people," which was code word. And if you ask who are Eric Holder's people, well, it's the kind of people that he stood with today. Race hustlers like Al Sharpton, who have hosted other race hustlers like the new Black Panthers Party, which, as you mentioned, got special dispensation from this Justice Department.
Now, based on that comment about being a nation of cowards, let's put this together with, all right, he's looking into civil rights or potential civil rights violations of George Zimmerman, but he hasn't said anything about the new Black Panther Party. And let's play that tape, and this is just one of many. This is the most recent comments by the new Black Panther Party. And then we got to ask the question, why not look for civil rights violations here when there's a bounty on the head of an individual who's not been proven guilty yet, been indicted, not proven guilty, but here's the tape.
It's got to reach a climax. It's got to reach it's got to reach a point to where it boils over, like when you have a boil on your arm or your leg. In order for it to heal, this stuff got to boil over. And all your greats talked about there having to be bloodshed involved with revolution. True revolution means some bloodshed. So there's blood being spilled. We're going to have to cross the Red Sea. You're going to have to cross the Red Sea. I know y'all thought it was talking about some sea in some Middle Eastern part of the world. Hell no. We're talking about some blood.
All right, so he's talking. Would you connect the two remarks? I mean, very different times, but does it reveal a mindset to you at all? And it's just a question.
Yeah. I think it's worth asking that question. You want to talk about racial cowardice. These questions need to be asked. And it is considered brave now to ask these questions because just by asking it, you'll be met with an onslaught of accusations of being a racist or a white supremacist. Look, let me step back for a second because I want to make it very clear that what happened in Florida was a tragedy. Anybody who is a parent feels for the parents of Trayvon Martin.
I agree with you.
Of course they do, and it has to be said. On the other hand, the overreaction, the demagoguery, the irresponsible incitements to violence, and the silence on the part of this White House to condemn all of this outpouring of vigilantism that's happening is disgusting.
And the rush to judgment, and the media rush to judgment, and congressional rush to judgment, and activist rush to judgment, and declarative statements hunted down like a rabid dog, killed because he was black, without any evidence to corroborate this, which will hopefully come out in a trial if, in fact, it can be proven. All right, one last thing, because we're vetting the president. Interesting, on the issue of KSM, let's show you Eric Holder before and his shifting in position and what it says to us about him on this.
Those allegedly responsible for the attacks of September the 11th will finally face justice. They will be brought to New York, to answer for their alleged crimes in a courthouse just blocks away from where the Twin Towers once stood. Now, unfortunately, since I made that decision, members of Congress have intervened and imposed restrictions blocking the administration from bringing any Guantanamo detainees to trial in the United States, regardless of the venue.
Reaction.
I would say read page 118 to 126 of Culture of Corruption. I presaged all of the mess that we've seen with Eric Holder's botching of the handling of these Gitmo terrorists, and it all has to do with the conflict of interest of his former law firm, where he was a senior partner, Covington and Burling, which, of course, represented many of these Gitmo detainees and put, again, politics and corporate interests above national security and what Americans want in terms of justice for 9/11.
We're going to go back to the issue of her. We haven't even touched on pardons and Mark Rich and the FALN and a lot more vetting on the president's choice for Attorney General. And Michelle, always good to see you. Thank you for being with us.
You bet. Take care.
And